Hi everybody! Today I'm going to teach you how to make this curved type piping texture. It also works well with a grain in it for a ribbon like these two. So I'll teach you how to make both today. I use these to trim purses, shoes, skirts, whatever you need a nice rounded type piping trim for. The first thing we're going to do is open a new project. Any size will work for this. I'm going to go with my standard 512 by 512. And any color will do for this. So we'll go and make a purple one. Just select a color that's in the mid-tone range. It works easiest. And we need a rectangle. So I'm going to use my rectangle marquee tool. And I'm going to add a layer. And we're going to bucket fill. And then deselect our layer. And then what we're going to do is use our dodge tool. I like to select highlights and an exposure between 30 and 40% somewhere. And then also a nice soft round brush. I'm going to use 21 pixels, but you can change how big your brush is based on the size of your rectangle. You're going to want a bigger brush if you have a huge rectangle. If you make a smaller one, it's obviously size down your brush as well. So the easiest way to draw a straight line using the burn tool is hit shift and click, and then hold down your shift key and click the other side and go back and forth a couple times, and you'll get a nice nice dodged out lightened area. And then we're going to go to our burn tool, and we're going to select shadows, and I like an exposure of about 40% on that one. And using the same technique, shift, click, hold down your shift key, click again, and burn in an area at the top and bottom of your highlighted areas, just like that. I don't do it exactly the same, so I burned 2 lines across the top and only 1 on the bottom. That's totally up to you. Then we're going to add a layer. We're actually almost done, believe it or not. And we're going to go to our gradient tool. And we're going to just use a standard black to white, foreground and background, and then a black to transparent gradient when you select your gradients. It's this guy right here. And then what we're going to do is at the very top of the page, we're going to make a tiny little gradient like that. Oop, needs to be a straight line though. Tiny little gradient, just like that. And we're going to pull that guy down and line it up. And I am going to back the opacity on this guy way down. We just want a little bit of an effect in there. So about 60% will do. And duplicate that layer. And then edit, transform, flip vertically, and bring that gradient down right here like that. And you'll see we have a totally rounded effect on this now. We're going to merge all of these layers together except the background layer. And I'm going to take and trim up this layer like this so it's even on the ends. Okay, now to add a grain in this to make it look more like a ribbon, you're going to have to open a new project, and you're going to make it 3 pixels by 3 pixels. This is a tiny little project. And I'm going to zoom way in so you guys could see what I'm doing. I'm going to add a black background just so you can see this. You don't have to do this part. Add a new layer, and you're going to use your pencil tool, and we're going to use white for the pencil, and we're going to fill in this upper corner and this center line axis just like this. Okay, and I'm going to delete out this layer that I added. And I'm going to hide, oops, I duplicated it instead of deleted it. That's not going to work. And I'm going to hide the background on it. And then you're going to go to Edit, Define Pattern. And I call this Ribbon Checks, so I know what it is. Okay, now we're going to go back to our project. We are going to select and hit load selection, and that's going to select our entire layer. We're going to add a layer to this, and then we're going to go to our bucket fill tool and change this selection from foreground to pattern. And we're going to select that ribbon pattern we made, and we're going to just fill that in. Now, I know we just made this look like a mess. Don't worry, it's going to look great by the time we get done. What we're going to do is change this to overlay, and then we're going to back our opacity down. I like mine at about 75%. You can back it down further or leave it pretty opaque, just depending on what look you like for your ribbon. And then what we're going to do is filter, blur, and do a motion blur. And a 45-degree angle works great for a grained ribbon. And then anywhere from 5 pixels, which is going to give you a short grain, all the way up to 20, which is going to give you a nice long grain. And hit OK. And we'll zoom in and check this out. But we're done. There's your grained ribbon. My next tutorial is going to teach us how to bend the grained ribbon into a bow. And so I'll hope you join me for that. As always, if you have questions or need some help, feel free to contact me. Thanks.